Hello, good day. Welcome to Literature Arena. I am Ohansio Yadan. In today's class, we shall be discussing The Marriage of Anasewa by Efua Sutherland. In this video, we shall be taking a comprehensive review of Act 1 to 4. Introduction to the play. Efua Sutherland from 1924 to 1996 was a pioneering Ghanaian playwright, poet, and children's author who profoundly shaped African theatre. Known as the mother of Ghanaian theatre, she founded the Ghana Drama Studio and championed indigenous storytelling traditions. The Marriage of Anansewa stands as her masterpiece, blending traditional Akan storytelling with contemporary theatrical techniques. The play holds immense significance in African literature curricula, particularly for WAEC examination. It explains timeless themes of tradition, marriage, and social dynamics that resonate deeply with West African students and scholars alike. We shall be taking a depth and an in-depth review of the plots and the acts in this text. The play centers on Anasewa, a young woman whose father, Ananse, the trickster, schemes to secure her wealthy marriage. He sends letters to multiple chiefs, claiming Anasewa's hand, creating a web of deception. When all suitors respond favorably, Ananse must navigate the consequences of his greed. The climax arrives when Anasewa feigns death, forcing the suitors to reveal their true intentions. Only one chief proves genuinely devoted, leading to a resolution where love triumphs over manipulation. We'll take a look over the conflict and turning points that shaped the narrative in the subsequent act summary. The central conflict emerges from Ananse's deceptive matchmaking scheme, pitting traditional marriage customs against personal integrity and genuine affection. The key turning points include the arrival of competing suitors, Ananse's Anasewa's stage death, and the revelation of each suitor's true character through their reaction. Come with me. Act 1 Summary. Act 1 of The Marriage of Anasewa by Efua Sutherland opens in Ananse's small home where it is raining heavily outside. The players perform a short introductory song about the struggle of life. This sets the mood of hardship and foreshadows the play's focus on survival and cunning. Ananse joins the song. He personalizes the song's message to his own situation. His poor state, signified by his leaking roof, shabby chairs, and low social standing, is made clear from the start. Main events. Ananse busts in with typing paper, carbon paper, and envelopes. He calls on his daughter Anasewa to help him type some important letters. Though she is reluctant because she's heading out, he persuades her by reminding her of their poverty and unpaid school fees at E and P's secretary school. After some protests, Anasewa agrees to help. Together, they compose four letters filled with praise and flattery, which she types while the player sings about time and opportunity. When she returns, Ananse surprises her with 120 cedis for her school fees. Overjoyed at first, she is later shocked to discover that the money came from Chief, who is Chief, one of four wealthy suitors to whom her father had written, the others being Chief Sapase, Chief Togbe Klu IV, and the Chief of the Mines. Realizing that her father is selling her to the highest bidder, Anaswa bursts out in anguish. Oh, my father is selling me. He is selling me, cried Anasewa. The players interrupt with another song to ease the tension and maintain the play's storytelling rhythm. Despite her distress, Anaswa later admits that Chief, who is Chief, a handsome and influential man, is the one she secretly admires. Another Ananse explains that he seeks not only wealth, but also the best possible husband for her. The storyteller's interlude. The storyteller enters to comment on the action. He likens Ananse's trickery to that of a spider spinning a web. He reminds the audience that a man may spend money on a woman, but until marriage rites are performed, she remains free. This observation introduces a play within the play, where Akosua tells her lover, Akwasi, the same truth. This is an indication that the former is not the latest, regardless of how much the latter has spent on the former until they get married. This mirrors Ananse's manipulative strategy with the chiefs. The closing moment for Act 1 of the Marriage of Anasewa ends with a postman delivers a letter from Chief Togbe Klu IV, bringing news that excite Ananse. His scheme seems to be unfolding successfully. It leaves the audience curious about its eventual outcome. Let's see dramatic techniques in Act 1 of the Marriage of Anasewa. The first dramatic technique we have there is the use of song and dance. The players the players' songs act as commentary, much like a Greek chorus. The music and dance, known as umbogo in Ghanaian Ananse theater, reflect the mood of the event in the play. The next dramatic technique is play within a play. This is used to reinforce the moral lesson and mirrors Ananse's behavior. We also have the narrative interruption. The storyteller directly engages the audience. His presence blurs the line between story and reality. Act 2 summary. Act 2 of The Marriage of Anansewa opens with the storyteller and the players discussing Ananse's cunning scheme. Their commentary reminds the audience that Ananse's cleverness is a double edged sword in that it brings both gain and risk. When the curtain rises, Ananse is seen seated, enjoying the fruit of his trickery. Two female messengers from Chief Sapase arrive. They bring with them his greetings and a large sum of money. The women leave after delivering the gift, and Ananse's joy becomes uncontrollable. Main events in Act 2. Ananse begins to fantasize about spending lavishly and showing off his wealth in church the next day. His fantasy is a humorous image that reflects his vanity and quick forgetfulness of his humble background. Soon after, a group of workmen, a carpenter, a mason, and painter, arrive to begin home renovations. Ananse's plan to transform his poor house into one befitting the father of a soon to be married woman. As the workmen work, they sing, with the players joining in. This creates a lively communal rhythm typical of Ghanaian folk performance. The songs continue to function as commentary as they combine entertainment with moral reflection in function. Just as Ananse's excitement peaks, a messenger from Chief arrives with an unexpected message. The chief plans to come in a fortnight, that is 2 weeks, to perform the head drink ceremony, the traditional rite that seals marriage. Before Ananse can fully digest this news, the postman enters with another letter, this time from Chief Sapase, announcing that he too will come in a fortnight for Ananse's head drink. This shocking coincidence throws Ananse into confusion and panic. His web of deception was has suddenly tangles, and he begins to worry about how to handle two chiefs planning to marry his daughter on the same day. Closing moment. Obviously trapped, Anansi resolves to consult Miss Christie, the head of the Institute for Prospective Brides. He hopes she can help prepare Anasewa for marriage and perhaps find a way out of this crisis his greed has created. Now, let's see the dramatic techniques in Act 2 of The Marriage of Anasewa. In this act, we saw chorus and songs. The players and workers' song provide commentary and heighten dramatic rhythm. The next is comic irony. The audience knows Ananse's deception will soon collapse, even as he celebrates. We also have dialogue and folk speech. Everyday Ghanaian expression make the scenes relatably and relatable and humorous. Act 3. Act 3 of The Marriage of Anasewa opens with Aya, Ananse's mother, and Ekua, her sister, Ananse's aunt, in conversation about Anasewa's marriage preparation. Aya recalls the memory of Ananse's late wife and expresses both affection and worry about her granddaughter's future. Aya also voices her suspicion of Miss Christie She believes that Christie's interest in helping with Anasewa's marriage is motivated by her attraction to Ananse himself. And she said, she is leaning her ladder on my grandchild in order to climb up to my son. Hmm. Main events. The bridal purification ceremony soon begins. Girls sing praises and perform ritual acts to bless Anasewa. Aya leads the ceremony. She recounts how Anasewa was bathed early that morning with new sponge and soap and life-giving water. Ekua adds nyanya leaves to the water, which is a traditional symbol of purification and protection, and places an egg before Anasewa to invite good fortune. The atmosphere is joyous and symbolic of the community's rich cultural heritage. Miss Christie and some of the other girls contribute coins gifts. The girls bless Anasewa with songs. Anasewa, you are now ready to marry. Anasewa, you will give birth to 30. Anasewa, may your life be healthy. Aya then calls for silence and invite Ananse to pray for his daughter. Conflict and turning point in Act 3. In the midst of the celebration, a messenger from the mind arrives with news that the chief of the mind also intends to bring a head drink for Anansewa. Ananse is deeply disturbed, yet another suitor is now making an official move. When Christie learns that other suitors exist beside Chief, who is Chief, she is shocked and disappointed in Ananse's deception. Moment later, Anasewa herself enters, joyful about her upcoming marriage, but her excitement fades when her father confesses that four chiefs, not one, plan to perform marriage rite for her. She tearfully insists that her heart belongs only to Chief, who is Chief. In response, Ananse unveils a desperate plan to fake Anasewa's death. He convinces her that pretending to die will allow them to test the suitor's loyalty and discover who truly cares for her. Ananse's deception deepens. Ananse calls Miss Christie back and shares the plan with her. Loyal to him, Christie agrees to assist and is tasked with finding a taxi to send Aya and Ekua back to their hometown, Nanka, so they will not witness the deception. When Aya re-enters and finds her son worried, Anansi lies that their cocoa farm has been set on fire by enemies. Distraught, Aya quickly prepares to leave with Ekoa, exactly as Anansi intended. The storyteller reappears. He laughs and comments on Anansi's growing web of deceit. The act ends with the plan clearly set. Anansi will announce Anasewa's death and stage a mock funeral to see which suitor's reaction reveals true affection. He hopes the most sincere one will be Chief, who is Chief. Dramatic technique in Act 3 of the Marriage of Anasewa. We saw, we can see the use of song and ritual performance. The purification ceremony combines music, chant, and symbolism to dramatize communal life. We also see the use of comic irony. The audience knows Ananse's game plan. This heightens both humor and suspense. I would want you to note that comic irony can also be called dramatic irony. Storyteller's commentary. Storyteller maintains the folk drama style and guide audience interpretation. Symbolism. In Nyanya, Nyanya leaves symbolizes purity, the egg symbolizes prosperity, and water symbolizes life, which enrich the cultural context. Act 4 in summary. Act 4 of the Marriage of Anasewa opens with the players mourning Anasewa's death. Their lamentation sets a somber yet ironic tone, since the audience knows she is only pretending to be dead. The storyteller soon enters. He announces that today is a funeral for the dead and the alive. He reminds the audience of the moral principle that anchors the entire play. No sale, no payment obliges no one, meaning, no matter how much a man spends on a woman, he has no claim to her unless he pays her bride price. This reminder prepares the audience for the moral testing of the four chiefs through their responses to Anasewa's death. Main events. The mine messengers. The first visitors are messengers from the chief of the mine. They come to express condolence and brings gifts: silk, kente, dumas cotton clothes, drinks, and money. However, they add that their chief was forced to send them and that she never completed the marriage rite. He owes her no burial. After they leave, Ananse reflects joyfully, especially as he realizes that if his daughter had after they leave, Ananse reflects joyfully, especially as he realizes that if his daughter had married into that household, she would have been hated and mistreated by the chief's unsympathetic advisors. The Sapase messengers. Next arrive the messengers from Chief Sapase. One of the female envoys openly says she had been looking forward to using Anansewa's beauty and future child to spite a rival woman in the palace. They present their gifts: silk, velvet, white kente cloth, and 20 guineas before departing. Again, Ananse rejoices privately. He says he now sees that if Anasewa had gone there, she would have been dragged into palace rivalry and possibly harmed. The Togbekulu messenger. Soon after, messengers from Chief Togbekulu the Fourth arrive. They reveal that their chief had genuinely loved Anasewa and even planned to make her his business partner. Her death has left him devastated, so much that he has become a zealous adherent of a spiritual church in grief. Ananse is sincerely touched by this gesture and praises the chief's sincerity, though he still hopes that chief, who is chief, will prove even more honorable. The chief, who is chief messenger. Finally, the long-awaited messengers of chief, who is chief, appear. Their gifts far surpass those of all others: money, drinks, silk kente, velvet, brocade, dumas, white kente, and even a glass coffin. Most moving of all, they bring a wedding ring, which shows that their chief intended to marry Anasewa even in death. This act of genuine love overwhelms Ananse. In an emotion and comic climax, Ananse falls into a mock trance. He calls on the spirit of Anasewa to rise. To everyone's astonishment and joy, Anasewa rises from the dead, though it is apparent to the audience that the whole funeral had been a ruse. Hmm. Resolution and closing scene. The mood turns jubilant. The players, storyteller, Christie, and Ananse all celebrate together. They sing and dance. Ananse publicly thanks and embraces Miss Christie for her loyalty and help throughout his deceitful adventure. The play ends with a love song which symbolizes reconciliation, renewal, and the triumph of both wit and affection. Let's see the dramatic technique in Act 4 of The Marriage of Anasewa. We see we see the use of irony. The funeral for the living is both tragic and comic. Chorus and music. Songs continue to connect audience and performers in traditional storytelling style. Symbolism. The glass coffin and wedding ring symbolize transparent love and the blending of life and death. Storyteller's commentary. Storyteller's commentary frames the entire scene as moral instruction and maintains the play's folk drama roots. Yeah, we want to say thank you for your attention. We hope the comprehensive act review of Efua Sutherland's Marriage of Anansewa has enriched your understanding of this remarkable play. Watch out for videos on themes, characterization, settings, and others. For question, further discussion, or additional resources on African literature and WAEC preparation, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.